Yeah, Peshawar is, it's moving ahead in progress,
Right.
So actually, though it has been a victim of some terrorist activities, but overall, Alhamdulillah, there is a great pace right now, especially in the field of education, the field of import and export as well, and apart from all these things, the economy is booming right now. Especially if I talk about like Peshawar is the hub of different things, the hub of education, the hub of trades, even not you can find in Peshawar over there. You can find different people, even people from Lahore, from Karachi, from Islamabad as well. They are here, they are over there for a kind of like a special purpose, maybe for a trade, maybe for the sake of education, like, or maybe they are going to buy something, like
Okay,
because yeah.
okay, okay, very well done. And now we are to turn to the essence of literature. So, what's literature in your point of view?
Yeah, in my point of view, like if you just go for literature, like, so please read literature properly, like if I can see most of the students right now, just they are running up from marks, this is not fair,
So,
so
there are,
literature
yeah,
literature is my point. Literature is life.
right.
You can find yourself in a literature.
And its main objective is to refine your sensibilities
Yeah,
and make you a person of a better kind
better
and
kind,
somewhat
yeah.
distinctive and somewhat different from the rest of the people that are commoners, or
Yeah,
they are
commoners,
just
yeah.
running the life but they don't have the sense and how to go with the
And then
right
it,
and
it
wrongs.
yeah it doesn't mean, for example, you will just read and you'll get your master's degree in literature and you cannot make your future. No, you
Right,
can. It's up to you, because
right.
the only person who can help you and make your future, that's you, remember.
Mm.
Because for example, you have your master's degree, so you will have to move on. It's better you need to explore the world. You will have to make ground for yourself as well. It's better you need to find new you need to crack new opportunities for yourself as well. So literature, in my point of view, is a life, remember.
So literature is literature, and literature is in its application and its you can say sensibilities to give. It is known by its writers and its by nation.
Yeah.
So there are plenty of you can say countries that are rich and known for their literature, like Arabic literature, like Persian
Yeah, yeah.
literature, like Italian, like French, like Germans, like Greek, like Romans, and these are the main you can say civilizations and the countries that have been you can say transmitting the literature, and Russian literature as well. They
Yeah, of
have
course.
gone so deeper areas of the soul and mind, and they have produced the literature of international caliber. So what's the difference between English literature and the rest of the literature?
Like, it's a very good question. Like, what is the difference? Overall, like, I would just find only one difference, and the difference is somehow because this is the language one. Because we can find in Russia, they are the poets. They express their feelings in their own language.
Right.
They are gonna send a message to the world. At the world. What kind of message? It can be about happiness. It can be about life. It can be about human beings. It can be about, like, it can be about different things what we have or we face in our daily life as well.
All right.
But what about the English literature? So even the poet expressed the same thing as well. He expresses the same thing, but English is still, since an international language, so most of the people have their inclination and their propensities towards to learn something in the same field as well, to understand something in the English as well. Though literature is the same. Well, we can say modern era, we can say, like modernism, or we can say what we have in a primitive time. So of course there can be kind of, like a difference over there. But overall, what we have in the form of literature and what we have across the world, so they have the same purpose.
And it is said that Greeks are the main mentors and the torchbearer of the English literature today.
Yeah.
As Greeks, you can say literature has been, you can say, taken up, and some of the intellectuals and scholars fled away, and they reached to Italia, and they reached to Germany, and later on in 13th and 14th century, all of the packed literature have been brought into French, and then French, you can say, people stepped into England, and in the 14th century, when the printing press machine came into existence, and these were all the literatures, pieces of Greeks. Then the Britons, you can say, start printing it and started flourishing it. And in 14th and 15th century, you know, the colonization of Britons once took start, and then they started colonization of the countries came, and wherever they went, they taught literature and preached their religion, and it became an international figure. So, how many countries are doing MA English in the present age?
Almost, like there are lots of countries, like they have their special department, like reserved for English literature as well. Even if you go to Sweden as well, if you go to Italy as well, so normally they have their special department for the English literature,
Right.
and some type of, like refresher courses in order to learn English. Yeah.
So, what is impact of literature on the human societies?
Yeah, it's really good question. Let me share some of my personal views with you right now. When I just read a novel, I read a poetry as well. So if there is some, for example, if there are some characters, in a positive way, so I take positive step as well. I learn from the same character as well, and I find myself in the literature. I find myself in the poetry. I consider myself one of the characters in the novel as well. Of course, the impact is very positive.
So
And
there
it,
is a bit difference taught to us that that religion, where religion teaches us that you do this and that, and this is the right thing and this is the wrong thing. But it is the literature that you can say crafts the characters, makes the plot,
Yeah.
and develops the situations, and
Yeah.
tells you where evil forces and good forces come at the contrast or come at the conflict. And it is the literature that teaches you the real face of religion. That religion only gives you the signals. Religion only gives you how to stay away from the evilish forces and what is the evil. But in true sense, it is the writer of the literature when after producing its masterpiece, and you can say when it draws the characteristics and draws the characters and put them into different situations. And whenever the minor and the major characters are flat and the round characters are going through the different situations, how they
Yeah.
are battling up, we are viewing and watching them. And this is the right way. While reading literature, you can say we come to understand that how much it helps the religion to save away. So after these all, now I am to turn your other phase of personality, your true experiences where from take start, and how you get groomed, and how you come across with the English society.
Yeah, after getting my master in English literature, so I was doing my job in somewhere in, in college and school as a visiting lecturer or somehow in private sectors, to teach to students English literature or just to work on their spoken English as well. Later on, I translated a kind of, like 16-page documents for one of my friends. He was doing his job with one of the prestigious NGOs in Mansera. So he told me that actually, can you translate the documents? I told him, yes, why not? It's my pleasure. I can do it. So then I translated the documents. I just, give him back, the documents. So then he told me that, okay, translation is awesome, it's really great. So the administration have one message for you. They told me if you want to have a job, so we can hire him, but the job location is not here. The job location in Afghanistan, and that was somehow in 2006. So then later on, I suggested, I got, I seeked actually and sought actually, sorry to say, I sought consultation of my father, and I told him that I want to go back to actually Afghanistan for a job. He told me no, it's not a good place, there is war and there is no peace and tranquility, so it's better you need to stay here. So I actually neglected the same offer. But later on in 2011, I got a new offer. I went there and I worked for 5 months in a university. And later on, I got a chance, from the Maxwell Stamps, the UK NGO, So that was actually the turning point in my life as well. I met different native speakers from UK. We had our like professor, the head of the department from France. There were some teachers from Bangladesh, some teachers from India, and we I would say like there were some teachers from 7 8 different countries. So I worked with the British for 1 year being a teacher. They used to sit in our class. We had lots of material from our native speakers. We used to interact with them on daily basis, meetings, trainings, each and everything. So that was such a rich experience while working with the native speakers. And after finishing the project, so I got a chance again. I worked with Ball State University from the USA actually. So I worked with the US university, Ball State University for 2 years. And of course I learned lots of things. They used to sit in our class as well, and there were proper trainings again. So we had of course along with some other teachers from Peshawar, from Islamabad. There were some teachers from Peshawar in Islamabad as well. So I learned lots of things from the same teacher as well. Still I can find the same impacts on my mind as well. The way I learned, especially I improve my spoken English as well. I work on my writing skills as well. So that was all about from the same place in Afghanistan.
So what about your you can teachers and professors from England and United States? How they were able to pace up and get adjusted and adaptable with the Afghanis, you can say, surroundings and living there.
Yeah, there was of course a kind of gap, like because they were native speakers and most of the students they could understand the way they are talking. So actually later on with the passage of time, most of the students they learn that how to communicate with like our professors from the UK and from the state as well. But overall in the beginning they had lots of troubles. That normally we used to communicate with a student, and later on we used to, for example, like pass the message of the student to our esteemed professor from the UK as well. So but overall like the boys and even the teachers, they enjoyed a lot company of the same native speakers.
You, Muhammad Arif, went there in Afghanistan after the biggest collapse that came and destruction and utter annihilation came after 9/11. So, what was the present threats there? What was the fear when you stepped into the land of Afghanistan? How you paced up with there, and how you removed your apprehension and fears, and later thought that it's okay, nothing is there. It's only propaganda-driven kind of things that are making us that Afghanistan is this and that.
Yeah, of course they have. Like I would say, the Afghan government still have little bit reservation about the neighborhood as well. Like there is a proper, like complete intervention, from the neighborhood as well. But overall, when we went over there, so there were, like taunt talks, and there were rumors about it. Afghanistan is not a good land. There is a bomb blast on regular basis. Yeah, there was sporadically and off and on we had some bomb blast over there and suicide attacks, but not on regular basis. People were very friendly, like though sometimes like nationality is a big issue sometimes if you're from Pakistan and if you want to move to Afghanistan. So if your passport is from Pakistan, I would say clearly this thing, like the police, they will stop you. They will ask lots of, we can say, baffling and pestering questions. That where are you from? What the hell you are doing here in Afghanistan? Go back to your country. And sometimes they would ask that, okay, you are a teacher, so we have lots of sufficient teachers in our country. So what the hell you are doing here in our country as well? So normally we used to tell them, actually your government called us for the same purpose. We are here for a very like for the august purpose, like sublime purpose, nor for somehow we can say like a very malicious activities over there. But overall, like security is still a big issue for Afghanistan. Like even till to date, if you just find it, just check the news. So there's lots of, we can say, skirmish between the government, the militants, and one of the striking news for the Afghan government and for people who are living over there, because the the U.S. government is going to withdraw, its troops, So within 130 days, I think so, U.S. government is going to withdraw 5,000 troops, So it's very alarming, like you destroyed the whole Afghanistan. So you are leaving Afghanistan right now in such a plight state. It doesn't make a sense.
It's
It doesn't.
not honesty.
Yeah, yeah, it doesn't make a sense right now. So still good wishes for the people, especially for Afghanistan. For the Afghans who are living.
Rightfully, it is said that the way you can say Jamaicans, Jamaicans have the born athletes in the same manner. You can say Afghanistan or Afghanis have the born warriors. So there is a gulf difference between
Yeah.
this and that. They are the sports producer, and here we are having the gunmongers and the warriors. How we can make Afghanistan the most revolutionized one, evolutionized one, and radicalized one, and modernized one, and you can say to some extent enlightened one, so that we could make Afghanistan a rising country, having some established institutions, having been registered with United Nations, having been recognition with the Committee of the Nations, having been with its filled with and fully armored with factories and industries and the modern, you can say, transportations and communications, and the fears of tribal, you can say, and the brutalities and the fatal attacks that could we expect from Afghanistan. How we can expect a new Afghanistan, and how you can say, and who could play a vital role in making up a new Afghanistan, and how we can bring the different chiefs of the tribes on one page and ask them, for God's sake, think of the future generation and make them get educated, and how the process of education with enlightenment could be started here.
So I still remember, Mr. Ghani, the president, once he was delivering his lecture in Oxford University. So the presenter asked one question, how to make your country prosperous, and how to, to develop your country. So is there any way? So Mr. Ghani replied in a very, in a smiley way to the presenter that is that you people to intervene in our country. If you stop your intervention, so we can go ahead and we can be a prosperous country as well. First thing, how Afghanistan can be a prosperous country as well, though there is a bit difference between radicalism and modernism, Afghanistan, of course, it's radicalized one.
Right.
Because if you go ahead from Kabul, just 30 miles away from Kabul, there is no life at all, by God,
Right.
There are Talibans, they will stop you, and they will ask you, they will search you. If you have a
They are
government,
present in the dark age.
yeah, if you have a government call, you're working with the Afghan government, so of course they will just kick you out from the car, and there are 100% possibilities there. They will keep you hostage or they will kill you, remember. So in Kabul is the capital.
Right.
Only
Where
we can
Mr.
say,
Karzai and such people
yeah.
did work, and that is most modernized.
yeah, of course. So the first thing I would say, if some other nations, if they stop their intervention in Afghan government as well. So my gesture is towards the neighborhoods.
Right.
If they stop, for example, their intervention, so Afghanistan can be a prosperous country as well.
Right.
They are still in the war from the last 40 and 50 years. There is no economy at all. I know, because most of the people, Afghanistan is the number first in the world that has produced, lots of, immigrants in the world.
Right.
This number in the first world. The reason is there is no life in Afghanistan.
Right.
There is no proper living. There is no proper accommodation as well. No proper food as well. The wealth is only in a few counted bodies as well, because the American government has aggrandized only few counted bodies as well.
Right.
There is no proper life as well. There is no proper education as well. What we have education in Afghanistan actually, this is actually kind of, we can say, through injected economy.
Right.
The US government, the USAID, we can say the German government, they are trying their level best not to help, the bereft people in Afghanistan as well.
How others country interests could be invited there, like Holland, like Italy, like Germany, like Great Britain, apart from the America and the China, and there they be involvement IMF, World Bank, and United Nations. Why not? You can say the other countries are coming there and to play a central role to, you can say, make them educated and make them well structured.
No, actually, they are very doing a great job, like not only the US government, but I would say, like they have their much contribution, especially in order to keep peace and tranquility in Afghanistan in the form of, NATO forces they have.
Right.
For there are forces from Italy, there are forces from Germany. Germany has much contribution, remember.
Right.
Now, I would mention one famous international NGO, GIZ. GIZ is doing a marvelous job for the engineers. GIZ is doing a great job in the outskirts of Afghanistan as well, providing electricity to the poor people as well. Yes, they are doing about the economy. Yes. For example, if there is no peace, there is no tranquility as well. So there will be no investment. There will be no foreign trade as well.
How moderation could be brought there? For example, if Americans are present there, though they are giving them education, though they are making some investments there. After all, Afghanis and the Taliban and the warrior groups or the tribes are of the view that that Afghanis never accepted the alliance, never you can say accepted the foreigners in the garb of you can say king. How and which one countries are the most loved one for the Afghanis? Even in the English countries, so that their attention and we should or some diplomatic covers or diplomatic sources should be applied to make them convinced that you people or you countries are to reach there and make your investment and balance the hate and grudge that is present for the foreigners as attackers. Why not as investors go there instead of attackers and to develop hate and grudge there?
To be very frank and honest, like each and every country has its own, like interest.
Right.
Like if America is there, so it's for a very special purpose. It was not only Osama bin Laden, remember?
Right.
It was somehow to keep a sharp eye on Iran as well.
Right.
It was somehow keep a sharp eye on Pakistan as well.
Right.
Like it's somehow from the same lane America as well. Even the Chinese government, they have invested lots of money, so the American government kept keeping sharp eye on Chinese maneuver and movement as well there.
Right.
So actually, what about Afghanistan? They want one thing. They want peace, they want prosperity, and they don't want any kind of external intervention right now. But they like one country, because I have personally observed this thing while staying over there with the people. So they like actually India, and they like India. But for India, it's really difficult right now, because so Pakistan right now in the middle of these two countries as well. So they will have to move. They will cross Pakistan first. If there is a trade treaty as well. So first of all, like India will have to make their proper, like communication and good relationship with Pakistan. Then it can reach to Afghanistan as well. But overall, like the people in Afghanistan, they truly like the Indian people, and they think that actually they are our brother, and we can make our like trade connection, like social relationship, even educational bilateral relationship. We can just want to have India in Afghanistan.
Do you recommend that there should be the start of dialogue between the Afghan chiefs and the chiefs of the all main tribes with United Nations observers? That United Nations, that is the representation of all the world, that United Nations can't be a controversial one and can't be a conflicting item, and Afghanistan could trust, and the present government, Ashraf Ghani and the other one, Abdullah.
Yeah.
If they make a joint venture and they come at the one page, and invite the attention of and to make a resolution in the Security Council that United Nations should depute and deploy some observer, and they should visit there and they should mark the areas where in which areas education is needed, and under the top supervision of United Nations observer and IMF and World Bank's you can investment, because IMF and World Bank pocket is not the individual pocket, that is the pocket of all the nations and all the assets coming from the whole of the world. And if the IMF and World Bank through United Nations observers and expertise visit at Afghanistan war theater, and they try to take the different chiefs of the tribes into confidence that we are going to start education, because education is the first and foremost death and soul like kind of thing. If education is nowhere, death is there. If education is there, means soul is there. So United Nations observers should reach there and to take them into confidence and to start education, removing rest of all elements, either they are Americans or the other ones or the Indian ones or whosoever they are. For example, Indian go there, Pakistan deputy come on limelight. In Russians are there, Taliban would not like them. So how a balanced kind of approach, a United Nations observation and observers is a right recommendation there. What would you like? Because you have the in picture up there.
Yeah, of course, it can be a very great solution for the same thing as well in order to prevail peace and tranquility in Afghanistan. But unfortunately, I would add something here, like most of the chiefs actually, from different tribal area living in Afghanistan or from the different sect and sections,
Right.
they are not one single platform, and sometimes we can think about it. This is all about how to reach to the chair of like presidentship, to take the government in their own hands. Like there are Shias people, there are Sunnis people, there are Tajiki people, there are Kabuli people, there are Pashtuns, like they are fighting against each other. There is lots of racism, there is lots of
Right.
hatred against each other as well. So even they are not on the single page as well. If you just, for example, go over there and if you just sit with the Hazara people, so Hazara people are talking against the Pashtuns people. Pashtuns people are against Hazara people. So Shias again, the Muslims, the Sunni people. Sunnis again the Shia, and Tajiki and vice versa.
Right.
Like they are not on the single page as well. First of all, like we need to remove this impediment, in order to prevail peace and the same thing.
Right.
United Nations, like because the Saudi tried, many times, not for one single time, but that was fruitless. The reason is they are not on one single platform as well.
Right.
And the most horrible thing, I would mention here is the corruption, because even our project, it lasted for 9-10 years. At the end, the World Bank decided to close the project because they were asking for the kind of solid record. We gave you that much money. What about your record? There is no proper record from your side. There is speculation. There is a kind of corruption from your side as well.
Right.
And this is not only the single case. There is international bodies working on corruption. Like ranking some countries 1, 2, 3, 4.
Auditor
So
and
yeah,
like,
yeah,
people
yeah.
should be a monitoring cell should be
Yeah,
there.
and
Accountability should be there.
Afghanistan was on the very first position for a long time, being a corrupted nation. Remember,
So it is rightfully said that a debate is made that corruption is due to poverty or poverty is due to corruption. So when we raise this point of corruption over there, why not long-term, you can say, project is about to be taken start? First of all, at the education. Before education, we should start their roads and communication, electricity, roads. These things should be before, you can say, education is to be taken start, because the transportation of the students and pick and drops and from the remote areas to bridge up and to bring the students from the different areas and to bring them into school. Roads are very necessary, electricity is very necessary, because they will get the media, they will listen it, and they will somewhat sharpen up their mind. Over here, as you have mentioned, that corruption is there, and this is the main point. But it is said that they are the warriors and they have been fighting for over the years, rather centuries and centuries. And whatever the present state is there, that it was rightfully said that when the Afghan war came to an end after Russia's being demolished, that a lot of, you can say, tribes become poor. Lot of, you can say, the chiefs become poor. A lot of, you can say, tribes to tribes war took start. Why? Because it was said that jihadis' only source of income was jihad. When jihad was closed, their all shops, their all, you can say, development, their all money making come to an end. It means it is not Islamic, you can say, spirit is there. Rather, it's a tribal spirit is there. How tribal spirit is to be, or how tribal instinct, or how war instinct is to be overtaken. It is the necessity of the time. It is a high time that international, you can say, community, not like America or the Great Britain, because they have grudge and hate for America and Great Britain, because they have been the intruders, been there enters. They might have been there that Afghanistan is occupied and airport will be available. Afghanistan will be available like airport, and from there they could fight wars, and they could from there they could disturb the peace of the Asian countries, the Gulf countries, and we are not in the favor of China or against China, or favor of you can say America against America. We are not, you can say, in the favor of modernity or against modernity. We want justice. We want justice, that at least one or only section of the society all over the world, that they are not paced up with the rest of the communities, rest of the world. So what would you say that how long-term education like, and how long-term steps should be taken there? And once again, I would like the role of who will be the main player that could bring the United Nations to feel realized and make investment on the neutral grounds and
There are lots of educational projects ongoing right now, in Afghanistan. But still, a very big issue, a very big question, and that is corruption. Like once the U.S. government donated actually $35 million, and $35 million were for the sake to bring lots of positive reformation education, especially to change the syllabi in government schools, offer some positive reformative trainings for teachers as well. Later on, like even after proper, like scrutiny, even $2.5 billion were not spent on proper plans as well. So what about the rest of the amount? So the people on high positions,
right,
when they had their links with the US government,
right,
so actually, they took the whole amount.
right.
So they tried their level best to aggrandize only their relatives, and they invested the money, somewhere else in other countries, like in Dubai.
Right.
So overall, I would say, like there are lots of projects, but one thing is very important, like there are different sects and section of people living in Afghanistan. There's diversity over